Really, she represented an entire era of democracy and the beginnings of democracy in Pakistan when we saw so much change. And she really epitomized to an entire generation a symbol of grace under fire, dignity, and progressivism. As First Lady, she had she led the women's wing. She took women's causes, she took democracy's causes to international forums with such style and a quiet aplomb, always making the country proud. And then in difficult times when her husband, Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, was executed, she put up the bravest front, with not just facing the indignities and trials of the dictator, but also facing one after another the tragic losses in her family, seeing her sons go one by one. And then I think when she moved to Dubai, her daughter Benazir Bhutto Shaheed looked after her on a daily basis. I have lived with them, and I have to say that she was at that time ailing, and but till the very end, I have to say that Begum Nusrat Bhutto, God bless her soul, was really someone that stood out as the epitome of grace as a first lady. And after that, the way she successfully, under terrible conditions, challenging conditions, and brutal conditions, led the People's Party out of a very, very dark phase when it was the worst time, when they were pushed against the wall. And she held the line for the workers, for the nation, for the People's Party. And I think today we are all mourning her not just as People's Party, but as a nation, as a country that remembers their leaders and their symbols of empowerment. She was constantly empowering women. She was, was chairing so many boards. She led the Red Crescent Society. She was the head of the women's wing. She was at a personal level met every worker at 70 Clifton. Nobody went away unheard from Mrs. Begum Bhutto's door. God bless her. And this is something that everyone remembers her for. She had that personal populist touch that the Bhutto family has always been, valorized and cultivated for. And that's something that she brought with her into the most difficult times in the country. And even when her sons had died, she was, in 70 Clifton, she was found in Larkana, she was found here. She tried to keep the flag of the PPP, despite divisions, going. She was a great unifying factor, and I have to say that we all need to pay tribute to her life. And I would really urge your television channels and others to introduce her life to the new generation, to remember people
Certainly.
that stood firm in such a huge struggle for democracy.
Right. Ms. Ramana, you are very closely associated with the Bhutto family during your life as a politician. How would you describe Begum Nusrat Bhutto's relationship with her children, especially at the time when the President Asif Ali Zardari and Murtaza Bhutto, there was a rift between them at that time during Benazir Bhutto's tenure as Prime Minister?
There were many family members who are dividers. In every large family this happens, and I think this is Begum Bhutto was a unifier. She was everybody's mother at the end of the day, and her heart, her hurt for all her children. I cannot say that she was holding out for one over another, and she spent her last days with my friend and leader Benazir Bhutto Shaheed. So I feel that Muhtarma was one of those great people whom you really can't put into boxes and categories and start saying, well, she favored one over the other. I don't think that was how history should remember her. I think she needs to be remembered in the true light of a mother, a leader, and one of the most progressive women of Pakistan. And that candle has burnt out today. We need to remember her for that, for her democratic politics, and for the great struggle she lived her life through.
Also, as a leader when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was hanged, and she took over the Pakistan People's Party. How would you describe her leadership qualities during that very intense time for the Pakistan People's Party?
Yes, I mean, she was a first lady. She could have said, I cannot do this, then this is too much for me. She could have taken the path of least resistance, but she stood her ground. As we all recall, she was, and there were some famous pictures of her when they were facing lathi charges and excesses of abuse, torment and cruelty to the first family. I mean, she was from first lady of the country. She was thrown into the fire, literally. And she stood her ground. She held the line for the People's Party. She gave hope to the workers. She kept the family together like a lioness, really. She stood there with dignity and courage, and also constantly messaged the party that, you know, we must not lose hope. She actually molded that party. She was the first to mold that party into the great vehicle of resistance that it became later on for all dictators, and that is something that the People's Party and all of Pakistan owes to Begum Nusrat Bhutto, and we must recognize her and remember her for that.
And how would you describe her relationship with her grandchildren, Bilawal, Bakhtavar? How do you think this will impact their lives?
Extremely loving. I mean, number one, all grandmothers are, but, you know, she was one of those doting grandmothers, and had her own views, and was looked up to with such love and respect. And you can see her. I mean, you can see her all over the canvas of this family's history, standing out as someone who actually suffered, I would say, probably the most in terms of the losses, but she kept her wits, she kept her dignity, she went into politics without looking back, and I think that there is no great tribute to be paid to her except that to say that she was the symbol of womanhood, of leadership, and her daughter, of course, surpassed her in many ways in holding great public offices and offering even greater sacrifices. But that was the mother that brought them all up, and that.
Mr. Rehman, thank you very much for taking your time and talking to Express 24/7 and sharing your views and thoughts and your time that you had spent with Begum Nusrat Bhutto.